Welcome to the Brown Edwards Benefits Buzz podcast, where we provide guidance and discuss topics that may be impacting your employee benefit plans. I'm your host, Brittany Quinn. I'm an audit partner based out of our Roanoke, Virginia office. If you're unfamiliar with Brown Edwards, I encourage you to check out our website, where you can find more information about our service lines, our locations, and our skilled professionals. A link to the website can be found in the description of this podcast. In today's episode, we're talking about something that can truly make or break your audit experience, and that is audit readiness. Joining me today are two highly experienced EBP audit professionals, Jessica Height and Shannon Cook, who work directly with clients during audit fieldwork and bring a practical perspective. Let's get right into it. Let's start with, why is it important to be audit ready?
So from our perspective, when a plan's audit ready, everything just happens to run so much smoother. It helps reduce some of the delays, improve our efficiency during our field work, and it helps get some clarity for both the client and our audit team. It really helps sets the tone for the entire engagement.
That's exactly right. And I would also emphasize that our job is to perform the audit, but for our clients, it's added work on top of their daily responsibilities. The more prepared we can help them be for the audit, hopefully the less stressful the process can be for them. Let's talk a little bit about the biggest drivers of the smooth audit, and that would be communication.
Yes, communication is absolutely huge. The biggest thing we see is that changes maybe that have occurred since the prior year don't get communicated very early to us. So some things that are helpful for us to know up front are if you have changes in your plan provisions. Maybe you've had some significant changes in the internal processes related to the plan. You've changed your service provider, you've had some changes in your internal staff, and even if you have some new contacts at the TPA or some other providers. Anything we can know early can help us adjust our audit approach so we don't have any big surprises.
And surprises are never a good thing in an audit. Let's walk through what strong communication looks like throughout the audit process. Shannon, can you break that down for us?
Absolutely. It really follows the phases of the audit, starting with scheduling and coordination, align with the TPA on timing, confirm when the audit package will be ready. Step 2, pre-audit planning. Set expectations and deadlines. Agree on communication methods. Do you prefer phone calls, emails, Teams meetings? And then identify who our key audit contacts in HR, payroll, and at your TPA will be for the audit. Establish the audit start date. And finally, fieldwork execution. Consider holding weekly status meetings during the fieldwork portion of the audit, track open items, and keep communication consistent.
And I'd like to add that most of our audits today are performed remotely, so communication becomes even more important. If we're not getting or providing those timely responses or updates, especially in a format that works for everybody, including the client and the audit team, it can really slow everything down.
Those are great points. Consistency is really what keeps things moving. Let's shift a little bit and talk about organization and documentation, because this is where we often see unintentional bottlenecks.
Definitely. There are a set of core aims we need every single year, and having these ready up front makes a huge difference. These include the internal control narratives, census data, payroll reports, your year-to-date register, W-3, audit package from the TPA, compliance testing results, or draft Form 5500, plan documents, agreements, and any amendments, contribution timeliness schedules, regulatory communications, and meeting minutes. If these aren't ready, everything else gets delayed.
And while that's a super long list to make sure that you have all the documents, it's also important in how they're organized. So for some examples is you should try to make sure that your census actually ties to your payroll and that ensures there's a complete population for us to make our sample selections. Communicate any of those changes in your plan documents or internal controls so that we can make sure we modify our audit approach from the beginning. And the audit package, once we get it, it should be complete so that we can really start building our trial balance and analyze our audit approach. Once those are all in place, we can move into sampling, which is really when the audit work begins.
And this is where timing becomes critical. One thing we often see is delays within those first few items that you mentioned, the census, payroll, and the audit package, which then pushes out the entire audit timeline. We want to give management enough time to respond to our requests. When we pick a sample, we want to make sure they have enough time to turn around and get the support pulled. So even small delays can add up quickly and affect our overall timeline.
Exactly. And it's important to remember TPAs typically take about 7 to 10 business days to provide documentation. So if requests aren't made early, that delay compounds quickly.
So if we had to summarize for our listeners, what were their biggest takeaways here?
Say that be proactive in communication. And make sure that you set your expectations early between yourself, the audit staff, your TPA, so that everybody knows going into it. And just to keep things moving with some regular check-ins.
And from an execution standpoint, get your core documents ready early. Make sure your data is accurate and tied together, and stay responsive during fieldwork.
I love that. I'll add one final thought that audit readiness isn't just about getting through this year's audit. It's about building a process that works year after year. When you invest the time up front, you're not just making the auditor's job easy, you're reducing stress, saving time, and ultimately improving the experience for your entire team. I really appreciate you both joining me today, and thank you for sharing your insights. And thank you for listening to this episode of the Brown Edwards Benefits Buzz podcast. If you found this episode helpful, feel free to share it or subscribe for more insights. Also, if you have a topic you'd like us to cover, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks.